students, we like to celebrate people, meet major accomplishments, and do things for themselves and for the school. We have several guests on campus, and first off, I'd like to thank all of our guests for coming. A couple of things before we get to what we're here for. There's a couple of announcements we'd like to go through that's happened in the last week, or really since last Friday. One thing that was accomplished last Friday is Elena Wood went and represented our school in the spelling bee and finished 5th out of the entire county. Let's give her a round of applause. Also, I would like to call Coach Nix up here for just a second. We had our second-year wrestling team go to the super sectionals at wrestling. And he's going to talk just a second about that, how they did this past weekend, and a couple of them are going to continue on.
How's everybody doing? Awesome. All right. Start with, I want to do, before we talk about wrestling, if you're a senior and you're signing a scholarship this year, stand up. It seems like every day this year's been one of the better years where it seems like every day in the during Raider time, we're going up to the library. I know there's a couple of the girls that's not in here right now. Courtney, Savannah, and then you're looking at 5 guys right there. Brenna, that's another one. So you're talking about a senior class that's, I think they're up to 9 right now. So to me, that's setting the bar high. And so if you can go and let somebody pay for your tuition and you do something you love doing, hats off to you. But that doesn't happen overnight. These kids right here work their tail off to get to that point where college wants them. And so I'm very proud of the senior class this year. So let's give them a round of applause. All right, this weekend we had super sectionals. And the way wrestling, a lot of the kids were always having to explain, just how a wrestling match works. We had one in school, and the kids the next day were like, Coach, did we win or did we lose? So the way super sectional works, there was 34 schools there, and 34 schools from 1A through 5A. And you had to be in the top 8 in your weight class to move on to state. And so in state, it's the top 16 wrestlers in each weight class, 8 from the north and 8 from the south. We had 4 kids that were in the final round to try to get to state, and 2 of them overcome that and actually moved on to state. So the first one, and he's the first one in school history in the weight class of 145, and that's Skylar McLeod. And the second one's in the 160 weight class, and he's also the first ever in history to make it 160, and that's Trevin Coheely. Not sure if Trevor's in here. Trevor might have got lost on the way to the gym. So if you see Trevor today, congratulate him. And then you had Hunter Salee and Jonathan Evans was also 1 match away from qualifying. And Skylar's the only senior this year. So with everybody coming back, we're looking for good things out of the wrestling program. And glad to have Coach Smith on board, helping with wrestling. And so wrestling's on the way up. So it's just another avenue for our kids at this school to be successful at something. So thank you for the time.
One thing that Coach Nix and I have talked about Skylar coming out first-year wrestler, making it to state. And the one thing that has been the big differential for Skylar in wrestling is that he is one of the state champion cross-country student athletes, and that has really paid off. The kind of shape he was in coming into wrestling, he's in so much better shape than everybody else in that weight class. It's hard to deal with. So he can make up a little bit on his technique from being behind by being a first-year wrestler or being in cross-country. At this time, we would also like to talk about our girls. Hold on, he can't say no.
Forgot one more thing. A lot of times it's hard to go to these events. So like last year, when the tennis made it to Mobile and the different outings like that, you have to have local sponsors to help. You have to have people to help you out. And 2 people that helped us at sectionals, and now we've got to try to raise money for them to go to Huntsville this week. But one of them's here right now, and that's Mr. Patterson helped us out with sectionals, and Jerry White, Reagan White's dad. So I want to give them 2 a round of applause right there for helping the team out. Thank you. Financially, thank you.
Mr. Patterson for showing up. You must have slipped in. I didn't see you there. All right, Friday night also, our girls varsity basketball team was playing for an area championship. Oh, even though we came up a little short Friday night, we will be playing tonight in the sub-regional at Pisgah. So I'm going to let Coach Good talk a little bit about that before we get into the rooms.
All right, before we get going with this, the girls had a great season, guys. We were 17-12. Had a great chance of winning the area championship and came up short. Wasn't because of lack of effort, just sometimes that's the way it goes. Shots won't fall. Ball, it won't bounce your way sometimes. But we're excited about going to play. We're actually going to play the defending 3A state champions, #1 in the state. And I think they're 30-0. So we got our hands full tonight. So one thing about it, I told the girls, I said, we have the talent and the heart to play with them, but we got to make some free throws that we hadn't made. Some games we got to hit some threes, and we got to make every 2-footer. So we're excited about that opportunity tonight to be in the state playoffs. And hey, we're excited about going to play the best team in the state. So if you guys can come out, it's a drive, but you'll probably be in for a show. Thank you. Hey, let's get those varsity girls to stand up, or just varsity JV girls. Y'all stand up real quick. All right, boys, you guys go ahead and get up here. Stand up here real quick. Grayson's up here. I'm not a big talker, guys. I'm not one with a lot of words. I do have a few words, though, to recognize this accomplishment that they've made. First of all, this is school history. Y'all see a lot of these blue trophies in the cap, and the guys walk by them all the time. Tons of them from the 90s, 80s and 90s, and then we picked up a couple in cross country in the last few years with the girls. But the boys, on the boys' side, this is the first ever state championship in school history of any sport, and as far as a team championship. And that's history, but not only Pleasant Valley history, it's we were the first public school to ever win 3A cross country in the history of cross country since it's been broken into classifications in the last 15 years. So not only are they first in school history, they called themselves the public school state champions the past couple of years because they were runner-up behind American Christian. But they were tired of that. In fact, we were the first place team this year, and the 6 teams behind us were all academies or private schools. So that was quite an accomplishment. There's a movie we go back to. We watched McFarland USA. It's a great Disney movie. It's about running, but it's a lot more than just running. But one of the quotes when the guy wanted to start this cross country program for this school, in California, he asked the principal, and the principal said, "Cross country." He said, "That's a private school sport." He said, "We don't breathe the same air they breathe." And that was the quote that the principal made to the coach. And the coach said, "No, they're kids just like we are." And that's something we keep talking to ours is, it doesn't matter what school, if it's a public school, private school, no matter what it is, that it's about the work you put in. So, first ever state championship boys team, first ever public school in 3A. That's quite an accomplishment. I'll give them a hand.
Excuse us 1 second. We need to allow our career tech students to leave, catch their buses.
All right. I want to talk about 3 things. These guys already know it and have it, but I kind of just want to talk to other athletes in the gym. 3 things made this possible, guys. First thing this group did is they believed. Now, believing's easy. Anybody, or saying's easy, but believing's different. This group, I remember when Cade moved here last year, about a year ago, and they said, "Hey man, it's a great year to move here. We're going to win a state championship next year." And he's like, "Oh yeah." Everybody says they're going to win a state championship when the season starts, and it starts good, and it's going their way. Everybody's going to win a state championship, but these kids believe that. Like it was no question. That was their mindset. Was they are winning the state championship. They got the runner-up 2 straight years, and they didn't like the taste of that. They weren't satisfied with the red. This group believed. I remember that quote. Kate is it telling me they're winning a state championship? They think I moved here so I can go get a ring. Kay didn't know anything about that. He just loved to run. He's happy to be a part of us. So we added Caden on our team. He ended up getting hurt a little bit through the year, but he ended up being our number 6 runner, and I'll talk about that in a minute, about our depth of one of the main reasons we were able to win. So they believed. The second thing they did is they put in the work. You know, some people want to say it, and some people want to believe it, but you got to put in the work. I remember it was state track all over. We're training. They said, we're doing track so we can win cross country. That's what they're, some of them hated track. We're doing track so we can run cross country. They hate running in circles. You ask any cross country kid, most of them don't like track. They don't want to run in circles anymore, you know, like a hamster on a wheel. They like to run over hills, through grass, jumping logs. They like the, you know, they like the variety. They put in the work after track. I remember we left the state track meeting that Monday. Half the team was running around campus working out. This is after track. This is in the middle of May when everybody's thinking, vacation, school's out, I'm done, I don't have to go to work out. These kids 2 days later are working out. They're getting in groups throughout that period at the end of the year, you know, and into June before workouts start. They're getting in groups running. They're texting each other, picking up the younger guys so they can go run. Putting in the extra work, because I always tell all my athletes, the only time you see me is the time you work at what we're supposed to be doing. You're going to be average at best. You'll be average. And this group knew that. They bought into that. So, you know, all the other athletes, no matter what sport it is, the only time you work, and it doesn't have to be anything special. If you put in the time and you put in the extra effort, it's going to pay off. This group did that. That's not only did they believe, they put in the work. The third thing, and I think this was the most important, this is what gets a lot of people is staying humble. There's times throughout the year we go to a race, and there wouldn't be competition. And there was times we'd go to a race, and I'd make them do certain strategies to work on our depth. Like we had to slow down and run the pace of our number 5, 6, and 7 runner. And for Coleman and Scott and some of our top, and Jacob, some of our top runners, they want to go out and win. They want to get the top 10. They want to get those medals and shirts, that individual recognition. But they pass that up and do those pack runs, and we lose the county competition. We lost Ohatchee and White Plains and some teams like that throughout the season because we were working on our weakest link instead of trying to glorify, the strongest runner. They would humble themselves, and that's what we got to do in other sports in this school. We got to understand that we're only as good as our weakest players on the team. If we can't get them better and build them up, we're going to fail. So we got to do that as we did that as a team. We need to do that as an athletic program in this school. So I love that. They were mad. I remember Braden's face at White Plains when we got that second place trophy behind Ohatchee. But at the same time, Scott was grinning. John Anthony's happy because he was our number 1 runner that day. They were pumped, but at the same time, they had to humble themselves and understand it wasn't about them as an individual, and it wasn't about, we had bigger things ahead of us. So a week later, we go and run county, and I just turn them loose. I said, go run. Everybody run your hardest. When they win county by the biggest margin that we've ever won it by. So they were county champs a week later, so they forgot all about losing the White Plains and Ohatchee. So that being humble part was huge for them to understand that we are a team, that there's no order like I'm the best and you're second and you're third. It was we got to get this guy faster so we can win. And the last part I'm going to talk about real quick was Ed State. We won by just a few points. It's almost like we won state by basically the equivalent of somebody shot at the buzzer in basketball, or somebody kicked a field goal with no time expired in football. That's basically what we won by. And it was because our 6 and 7 runner, only your top 5 score. Most people think they count, but our 6 and 7 runner beat second place's number 5 who scored and bumped their points back. And instead of saying, this is a team of 5, they understood it was a team of 10. And because of all the work they put in and the humbleness and believing, they were able to accomplish this goal. It was special. Like I told people, friends, family, I told them before the season started, coaching friends, I said, this bunch, they're going to win. And everybody was right. Because we're not super talented, super fast. How many people were All-State? Who was All-State? Hold your hand up. All-State. 1. Most teams that win state championships have at least 3 All-State runners. So we won it with depth. So we were excited about that. So y'all give them a hand real quick.
out. And one thing that we did, I always let the students, as they win a state title, kind of come in and design their ring. With these guys, I told them, I said, y'all are the first boys team in school history, so you need to make it memorable. And I'm not sure some of them are even strong enough to walk around with this ring that we're about to give them, because it is so big. The guy from Balfour looked at me and he looked at them and he said, y'all do know this is the same size as most Super Bowl rings. So it's the biggest ring I think I've probably ever seen. So some of y'all better get the weight room with Coach Nick, so you're gonna walk around with a dislocated shoulder. So at this time, if you would come up as I call your name, if y'all will slide down just a little bit to your right, and give Coach Hood a little bit of room. And we also got a special gift that Coach Hood found out about, and that is mini state championship trophy. So each of you are going to get a mini state championship trophy also. So at this time, let's start with Skylar McLeod. Jacob Glayton. John Anthony Critlow. Caleb Shaw. Cage Roberts. Coleman Haynes. Braden Wright. Caden Nelson. Jacob Anderson. And last but surely not least, Mason Almeroy. We've also got some bumper stickers for each of these representing their parents. Coach Hood has kind of gone all out. Also, we don't want to forget that Coach Rex McAllister was able to volunteer as an assistant coach with this team, but he is out of town at this time and was not able to make it. We also went back and made sure his name and their running time that earned the state title is on that as it goes into the trophy case. So I will talk to all of you after we are through, so y'all need to stay in here. But Coach Hood's got just another thing to say about it.
All right, before we let them put on this hardware and take this picture over here behind the big state trophy, I wanted to just thank a couple people real quick. First of all, the most important thing that makes this work besides the kids, great kids with great parents. I mean, that's the number one thing that makes this team work. I mean, from volunteering to work concession stands to raise money so these kids can get where they need to be, people donating for our run-a-thon, transporting kids to and from these meets on Saturday mornings and sometimes Thursday evenings, all of those things, working on our new trail. That's huge, these parents. And the biggest thing is just supporting and cheering for these kids, in a positive way. That's been a blessing to have that. Second thing are the coaches. We're blessed to have Rex and Coach Martin working with our kids, and also Tara, my wife, is a very important part of this team and helps get everything organized and makes everything go. And then not many teams even have one coach who cares about a cross-country program with the kids. We have 4, so that's a true blessing in itself. And then we had a ton of donors. I can't just go through the list of donors for these rings. The kids didn't have to pay a whole lot out of pocket to take care of these rings. We had donations from local businesses and individuals. We had a lady from North Carolina buy one of the rings. Didn't even know the kids. She just heard about it through somebody who knew somebody, and she sent a letter, and we read that at the banquet. Read her letter to the kids, how she was inspired by what they accomplished this year. This is a lady from North Carolina just bought a ring out of the blue. She had ties with Pleasant Valley in the 80s and just wanted to do that. We have our new trail being built. Some of y'all have noticed there's something going on, out there. There's like a path through the woods. We're going to be actually hosting races next year. We're going to actually be hosting a county meet next year on campus. So that's huge. We'll try to make that something where students can be available to come see that during school hours. We're going to be running regular season races out there, and we had a ton of parents help work that. And I'd like to recognize Lee Patterson. Lee, throw your hand up over there. He's donated a lot of materials and labor to help us with this cause, stuff that that we can't get to. As far as gravel and dump trucks and machinery and stuff, and also. They're not here, and they probably won't ever hear about it, but thank you, Calvin Equipment Rental. They rented, they allowed us to, give us a free rental on a bulldozer, and Andy Woodard with the Economy Septic Tank provided probably 20 hours of operator time working on this trail, cutting it through the woods. So this is going to be a big thing, guys. There's only 2 cross-country courses in the entire county. Oxford Lake has one, White Plains just built one, and now we'll be having one. So. That's something that's pretty big, considering back in the day when Coach Martin coached, we had to go to Scottsboro or Coleman or Birmingham, or we had to travel an hour and a half every day just to find a race. Now we can run an entire schedule just here in the county, just about. So I want to thank those people, and I guess Grayson here, he's as big a part of it as they are. I actually was over here setting up, and he thought I forgot about it. I had to go back and get it, and he was crying in his room thinking we forgot he wanted to be a part of it. He loves these guys. He feels like he's part of them. He was happy to be here. So I know I probably left something off or somebody off, but you guys are ready to put those rings on, and they're ready to get back to class, I can tell.
One quick story from the state title when we went to the state meeting. I'm going to call them knuckleheads lovingly, because it was about 20 degrees that day, wind blowing, freezing. They wanted to go in the lake once they won. So I went and bribed one of the AHS officials to tell them that he would take their trophy away if they jumped in the water, because I didn't need 10 people with pneumonia. It was me. All right. So at this time, we'll let y'all go ahead and try those rings on right quick, and then we'll have some pictures afterwards. Parents and guests, if you'll stay seated, students quietly, we're going to report back to third period, but let's give them a round of applause.